Hey guys, welcome back to Vision 42. I'm Kara Vibes, and today I have some really exciting things going on. First off, I'm going to start by talking about how no one won this yet again. So we're going to be giving it away, and we're going to be adding to it later on in the show. So make sure that you like, share, comment on this video on Facebook or YouTube to enter into this. If you're listening in, you can shoot on over to Facebook, Vision 42, or YouTube at Vision 42, and you can comment and share and like and follow on there. So in here, I have a face mask. I know we're about to stop wearing them, but I do have a face mask, and it says Hola on it. And this is like a Barbie makeup bag. And then there's nothing in this one. I think it's in this one. I have some more stuff inside here. I have this bracelet. And I have these necklaces. So make sure you like, comment, follow, share, all that good stuff on Facebook or YouTube. You can do it on one or the other. I check both. And you will get entered into the drawing. And I would like enough people to enter to where I can spin the wheel. That'd be nice. So we're going to add to this later on the show. But I have a special guest on today. And I'm really excited about it. So today I am going to have Sara Bradford. And Sara Bradford is an independently published children's book author. She has a variety of children's books under the name S.J. Childs. And her subjects are autism and dyslexia, physical differences, just all around that and helping children understand who they are and themselves, as well as support their peers. And she is a member of the Autism Council in Utah, where she lives. She's also the owner of Advocates Support Group. Amazing. That's awesome. And Sara is happily married. They've been together for 17 years. 17 is a great number, her and her husband, who also recently discovered he too is on the autism spectrum. She is global and known all over for speaking about autism. And she is also the talk show host of the S.J. Childs Show. So make sure you check her out. She is on YouTube and Facebook. It's just S.J. Childs Show. I'll be throwing those up later. She continues to strengthen her community through her local hospital, through Autism Partnership, as well as she developed a corporate autism training program. So I'm going to bring Mrs. Bradford on so she can tell us all about her books and all her organizations and all her groups and all the support that she gives to other people. So maybe she can inspire you to support other people. So we're going to go ahead and bring her on.
Hi there. Thank you so much for having me.
Yeah. So first and foremost, what I'm going to have you do is just tell us a little bit about yourself and your passion and what it is you do.
Yeah, definitely. I'm a mother of 3. And like you said, my husband and I have been together for almost 2 decades now. It's fantastic.
That's amazing.
Yeah, it's a lot of fun. And just recently, and I would say in the last 5 years, my son was diagnosed over a decade ago. So we have been in the autism world for over a decade, but it's been in the last 5 years we've recognized that my husband, as well as our other 2 daughters, are also on the spectrum. So I just kind of like to laugh that it's like my family is beautiful chaos. There's just every kinds of perspectives and you know, a view that most families probably don't have, that I have the perspective of giving. So it's a lot of fun. I've always had an entrepreneur spirit. So I'm multi-careered. I've done a lot of different things. just want to do so much, I guess. I'm just one of those energy people. So yeah, I started writing just as a hobby, and then it evolved to books, and then it evolved into a show, and it's just grown into this beautiful thing. We started our company, SJ Childs LLC, and right now we're doing fundraisers for autism safety kits for cars, which we got all of our donations, made our goal, and we're putting together these amazing kits for families. So yeah, just really trying to strengthen the community's awareness of my whole family because we have to all be out there in the world together. So, and I'm really proud to be able to be a face for that.
Yeah, that's so amazing and such a blessing of what you've been through and how far you've came. And I'm sure you've overcame a lot of things like we all have. And it's just amazing to see people who are regular people who go through regular things just doing so wonderful and blossoming. And it's just the best feeling ever.
Thank you.
So you're welcome. So when did you first realize that you wanted to become a writer and write these books for children?
Well, I've always loved writing. I mean, I've written poetry my entire lifetime. So I can remember back just, reading Shel Silverstein as a child, and Dr. Seuss, of course, just being inspired by those types of poets. And I wanted to give kind of a way for my daughter to be comfortable in the world. I have a physical difference called outer ear microtia. And that just means that I have really teeny tiny little ears.
Aww.
And they're little, and both of my kiddos were born with my same heredity. And so growing up, you go through kid bullying, things like that, and people, calling names and things. And so when my child was old enough to go into school, she loved like pixie cuts. And so she wanted super short hair, which of course then also exposed her to all of the questions of, why are your ears so small? Why are your ears look different? And I think when you're a little kid like that, you're not prepared to answer those types of questions, because she's not out in the world wondering why your hair is that cut or why your nose is that shape. Like, she's just being out in the world. And so for people to start kind of pointing out that she was different, that was hard for me to see.
Yeah.
And to think, like, how can I protect her through this? And so I wrote a book called, I have it right here if it's okay to show, Anna the Kitten. It's a book about physical differences. And so I really thought that it would be a great way to express that there are no two cats that are the same. And cats are all different, and nobody's mad about it, and it's just so much fun. So if she can just be proud to be me and make sure that, when she's out in the world, I mean, friendships and relationships, that's what's important. That's the stuff that is important, not what size your ears are, and things like that. Right. So I wanted to kind of hope that would come into play for her. But it was kind of funny because I wrote it like I was going to get it printed at Walgreens. Like, it was just literally like a home job. I was just getting it done, going to give it to my daughter. And people, some teachers and things that I shared it with were like, no, this is amazing. You've got to make these books and can you do more? So okay, I can probably do that. And of course, in a matter of just days, I had written about 7 books. And so I think when you write poetry, I kind of joke that I would have either been an author or a rapper. Like, I love to rhyme so much. So here I am, the author. They're probably glad I'm not the rapper, but that's okay. But yeah, it's just a lot of fun. So we kind of decided, hey, we can take off all of the experience we have in our family. My husband has dyslexia. My daughter also has dyslexia. And what an important subject for little kids to understand that dyslexia doesn't change the way you make relationships, the way you can be friends with someone. Yeah, you have to have extra practice at your reading. And sometimes it's a little tough and it can feel isolating to be different. But at the same time, these books help kids to realize that there are more people like them than not like them. And, kids are so innocent as kids.
Aw.
They're taught to be judgmental. They're not judgmental on their own. They don't come with those ideas. And so when you empower them with knowledge of differences and you teach them
Sorry.
what Down syndrome looks like, and that it's actually in their genetics and in their DNA, and you explain to them, give them the real science behind it, they don't look at it as a problem. They think, oh, I
Right.
know about this. Like, this is something I know. And then they're supportive and caring for people. And so
Mhm.
just really wanted to show, especially in this book, how a lot
Oh,
of people with Down syndrome, all he gives, this little boy that I wrote about, he only gives love to everyone. He's the most loving person
aw.
I've ever met. And yeah, people might see the struggles or not understand the way he's speaking, but he's the kindest person, that one of the kindest people I know. So
Oh.
it's so much fun. I know. So yeah, I've just been on this incredible journey. I have a couple more if I could show you, if you don't mind. If you want to
Yes,
see them. Yeah.
absolutely.
So Wiley the Worried Worm, a book about anxiety, is based on my own experiences with anxiety. And, when you're a little kid and you have a stomach ache and you're, oh my gosh, why is this happening? And you don't
Mm.
understand the process. It's hard to understand what's going on. And so it's so great that I wanted to show not only the ways that it is happening in your body, but then ways to calm yourself down, breathing deep, practicing yoga, practicing calming your mind and your breathing down.
Yes.
So
That is
important
so
tools.
amazing. I
Thank
love
you.
that
It was so much fun.
because it
It's
is
been so
so
much fun.
true. It is
Yeah.
so true. When I grew up, I've had anxiety my entire life. And I've recently been able to gain control of it through meditation. Oh,
That was weird.
yeah, through meditation, um, through
Good.
yoga, through prayer, through just getting better to know who I am
Yeah.
and myself in general. So I've been able to do that. But I used to get in school, I used to get the stomach aches. And my mom would take me to the doctor because I would want to stay home from school because I have a stomach ache. And she would take me to the doctor and they'd give me that little stuff for antacid, the little orange drink,
Yeah.
a drink. And I'm like, I don't even need this. That's not what my problem is. But
Yeah.
I couldn't say that when I was a kid. I didn't
I
know how to,
know.
but I hardly ever used it. Every once in a while when I got heartburn, I think I used it. But
Yeah. And how important if you would have had a book that showed, like, oh my gosh, maybe this is what I'm going through. And it
if I,
talks about that, like why he's worried is because there's a bird that he can hear singing and he just wants to go up in the grass, but he's so scared.
exactly, if I would have had something like that growing up, someone to teach me what I needed to learn in order to be I don't know what keeps happening. Sorry. Um, but yeah, if I had someone or something to teach me what I do know now, that would have been amazing. Something
I
like
know.
that. Like
Agreed.
we had amazing books growing up. Don't get me wrong,
Yeah.
but we didn't have things like that.
No, we don't have these type of books, right? So
Yes.
I think not my most special one because they're all about people I love or me but DJ the Bear, a book about a bear with autism, obviously is the kind of the center of our life when we started to learn about autism because he needed so much more support than everybody else in our family needed. And at first it was really confusing and people were unsure why. The family was always looking to him like, how can we help you? And he was just
Mhm.
kind of like, I just need my space. Like, I don't want to be around a bunch of people. And at first, when, you're trying to integrate a family, that's important part is to want to be together. And so
Yes.
I wanted to show kids that even though like at first he had a hard time with his way of moving about. Sometimes he would get angry, he would throw his food down on the ground. And that's something that happens in a lot of autism families. And, sometimes you think, okay, well, this kid's having bad behavior or something along that line. But I like to shed the light on the fact that autism is a different way of thinking. And expecting someone who thinks differently to behave like you or in a way that you think is just not correct, and it's not helpful for children, especially children on the spectrum, because they are so differently, they need different services and different support. Yes. But also with that come the different types of brains. Elon Musk just said last week that he had Asperger's on Saturday Night Live, and I've known for a while now because I see him all the time and I can pick it out. But it's funny when people are like, oh my gosh, I'm so surprised, and I'm like, oh my gosh, I could give you a list of entertainers, of our world's brightest inventors, of our world's most amazing artists, people who have never thought inside the box. They've always thought outside the box, and they were thought as crazy, as wild, as all of these things. Well, I'm here to tell you that way of thinking is evolution. That way of thinking is if we embrace those kinds of thinking in that way, then we better include them, and we stop making these behave like everyone else does, because that's just right. It's an old way of thinking. It's like an old paradigm that I wish the world would shift into this new where people are just more inclusive for one another.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, absolutely. Yeah. I think it's time for that change. I think that's the change that our community, our world needs right now to make it a better place for future generations, for ourselves, and exactly for kids. And I think that's really important. That's one of the main goals, is to make a difference, to help change my community, as many lives as I possibly can while I'm here.
Exactly.
So for one of your books, how long does it take you to write one of those books and put it all together to where you're ready to print it?
Well, if the writing process is quick. I mean, I sat down yesterday and wrote a female version of the autism book so that I can start showing how it presents in females so much differently. And it took, 25 minutes or 15 minutes or something to write it. I mean, it's a rough draft, don't get me wrong.
Right. Right.
But then we have an illustrator. We did most of these books. So I'll kind of back up a little. I wrote them all, like I said, 8 years ago, and quite a few of them. And then I sent them to so many publishers, hundreds of publishers, and was turned down by every one of them. Every single person turned me down. So I thought, no, this is so important. Just because you don't like to look at disabilities, we need to talk about this. This has to be in front of kids. So I self-published them and just started, made myself a Facebook page for the books and started marketing them, and just built my brand as much as I could by myself. And it's crazy how that happens, isn't it? But at the same time, it was we found a publisher, we found an illustrator on a freelance illustrating site. And he was able to do turnarounds in 10 days. He would have a book finished. And then we just plug in the numbers and the pages onto the Amazon, Kindle printing site, basically. And not that didn't take some learning, trial and error, a lot of that, a lot of formatting problems. I'm the worst mathematician in the entire world. You're either a wordsmith or a mathematician. I am the wordsmith.
I'm the mathematician.
I leave the math to the others in my life who are good at it, right? It's not me. I'm
not a wordsmith, though.
That's me. That's as much math as I do. It's the spelling of the word math. So that's can't do it. So yeah, that took a while, but I would say overall, once we got the hang of it and got the swing of things, it can be done in like 12 days, really. And then yeah, it gets, hit on
Easier.
Amazon and goes on live. And so yeah, now they've been up for two years now. I have sold globally all over the world. They're available in ebook and in paperback. I haven't done
That's
Audible yet.
awesome.
I'm just learning right now about, maybe doing Audible. So that would be exciting someday
Yes.
to look into that. So, yeah, there's some really fun things. In the last few months, I actually interviewed on my SD Child show a film director, and he proposed to possibly make them into small musical films for children.
Oh,
So,
that would be
yeah.
awesome.
And that would be such a
Yes.
great way to get him in front of kids too, in classrooms and such. So,
Mhm.
I'm really hoping that goes well. So, yeah, some really exciting stuff for just teaching children. I'm so passionate about teaching kids and just making a better impact on their lives.
Yes, absolutely. I think it would be a great cartoon too, with
Yeah,
different characters in there, and each of them have their
exactly.
own. It would be amazing, and
Yeah,
how they support each other and get through it.
exactly.
That whole thing would be awesome.
Yeah.
Um, so what do you think it is that makes a great story?
Well, I would say the flow. I think the way that you write things, and just knowing how many times I have to go back and rewrite things in an order that makes sense or that is intriguing for people to go on to the next page. Kind of like you give a catch in the beginning and then fill it in the middle and then have your surprise at the ending kind of thing. So
Mhm.
yeah, I think being a writer is a lot of fun. There's a lot of obviously lots of creativity that comes in with it. And I feel like when I'm in those kind of creative moments that I could just go on all kinds of journeys. I could do so many things. So, I really like it when that happens. I love to,
Mhm.
this is random as all get out, but do you know what Canva is for
Yeah,
it?
yeah. I use Canva. I love
I
Canva.
could like literally I could, every night I'm like ready to fall asleep at 9 o'clock. My husband teases me that I'm like the pumpkin in Cinderella. I'm like turning into
Uh-huh.
the pumpkin already. And so, but if I'm on Canva, oh man, I could spend a 2 a.m. on Canva. I just like my brain is in overdrive and I love the
Right.
creativity. Love
I
it.
love I absolutely I will stay on Canva all day long, making all kinds of content and creating all different things from my business cards to my intro video to
Yeah,
flyers to just for everything and everyone. So I mean,
I
I
love
love
it.
Canva, and I
Me
use
too.
Spark too because I obviously I use Adobe programs as well. But
Yeah. I'll have to
I
check
love
that
Canva.
out.
Yeah.
It is so much fun. So I like
Yes.
when that creativity comes. But yeah, I
It's
think that it
awesome.
it really I think it's all about intent too and about passion. Like my intent for the books wasn't to be a best-selling author and to sell millions and millions of books. My resonation of these books is to help children firsthand, help them understand my children, and help
Mhm.
their friends to be kinder to them, help their classmates to be kinder to them, and to be understanding of their challenges and support them. And then, secondly, obviously, teach the rest of the kids in the community and schools. I mean, schools is like the best place these books could be. Obviously, families, that's a great place, but schools is really, the teachers don't have time or really the expectation to teach your kids social emotional intelligence. But
Mhm.
that's life, like that's a life skill. Like you have to have it. You have to learn how to get along with people in your lifetime. And the earlier, like I said, the earlier you give that knowledge, the easier it is for kids. They do it flawlessly. They don't have preconceived notions of what should be done. They get the knowledge. They're like, I know, now I'm good. There's not a fear behind what's not known.
Right. I just got over pushing myself to just do it instead of overthinking it and fearing of the worst.
Yeah.
Yeah, I know exactly what you're talking about. My daughter is overweight, so she's heavier for her age, but she's tall for her age too. But she does get bullied a lot at school.
So hard.
And yeah, and I got bullied in school. So it's a difficult thing, and it takes a lot to overcome that. Mm-hmm. And it's not like we choose to be bullied. It's not like we chose to be a certain way. This is just how we are, and we didn't, we don't deserve that.
Yeah, 100%.
No one deserves it.
No, they don't. Agree.
Everyone deserves love and kindness, and just to support each other and lift each other up.
Exactly.
And, that's what it's all about. That's exactly
100%.
I love it. So what was one of the most surprising things that you learned while creating your show and your books and being a part of your groups and the organizations? Like, what's the best part of it?
I'll tell you, it's kind of interesting too, because I think that when people go into podcasting, I mean, yes, I love meeting people and bringing content and everything, but what I didn't expect is to have a new love for myself, to get up every day. And, I've been a stay-at-home mom for the last 10 years in my ponytail and my sweatpants, and to have the desire to put a dress on, to do my hair, to do my makeup, and then to look at myself and face myself in the camera every day and say, whoa, you look pretty good today, and I'm like reinventing myself over. I've done it a bunch of times in my life, and I'm excited that I'm going to do it again now. And I really feel like it's opened up a whole new perspective of my self-love and my growth that I've had to get here. In fact, I think I just posted on my page today that the people often that criticize you are the ones who don't know how hard you work to get where you're at. Because isn't that so true? And when you teach your kids that same, and you example that and embody those kinds of things, they can be confident about themselves and give themselves that grace too. So yeah, and I love what Amber said. Yes, gotta love yourself 100%.
Yeah.
Here's a cute little thing. When my daughter's 9, and when she was a little bit younger, really little, I taught her right off the bat, like, whenever anybody says like, oh, who do you love the most? I always said, you always say me. Yes, you are. When you're a kid, you want to say, oh, I love my mom the most. I love my dad the most. But I taught her early on, you say you love yourself more than anyone first. And it was about maybe a month or two ago that I asked her again, because it's been so many years. And I said, who do you love the most? And she said, me, and then everybody else. And I am so glad that stuck and that resonates within her. And I see how she carries that in her, when she's out in the world and being around other people. I see her confidence. And yeah, I know that she knows inside that, she has dyslexia, that she is possibly on the spectrum, and that, she has the outer ear microtia. She has the little ears. So she does have some, not even struggles, but other people might look at them as challenges, to come up against. But hopefully I've given her that inner strength to know that that's what really matters is the friends you make, the way you treat people, honesty. So
yes,
we drive that one deep.
Yes. I'm almost positive that she gets it and she understands, and she's going to flourish because of it, because of you. Aww. You are an amazing person.
Thank you.
To have you here today with me. And I just love everything that you're about, and everything.
Thanks.
It's amazing. It really is. And it's inspiring And like, I have a passion with children as well. So like, my kids mean the world to me. We have our own YouTube channel, PG Fit Fun. And, we have a great time just doing fun things together and filming every moment of it and then going
Oh,
back and
wow.
watching it again. There's nothing better than that feeling of being
Yeah.
able to go back and be like, oh, I remember when we did that. And their faces light up. I mean,
Yeah.
it's the
It
best.
is. I didn't have that as a child in any way. I'm an only child of divorced parents, and I barely have pictures of us as a family,
Yeah.
let alone
Same here.
videos of doing things together and stuff. So, yeah, I cherish those things with my kids too. In fact, just in the last, since I started my podcast, the fact that my two little ones want to come in and do a podcast, they want to put the headphones on and speak into the mic. And it's just the sweetest thing
It
to watch
is.
your kids emulate your actions. Oh, I have a good follow-up segment on that one too. So the last book of the series, Miss Anna, who is my 9-year-old, 8 at the time, well, she went ahead and she illustrated her very own book.
Oh.
And so at 8 years old, she illustrated her book, Anna's ABC book, and just talks about all of the stuff that she loves in her life, And
Mhm.
now, I mean, when you get those questions, oh, what's the coolest thing you've done in your life that nobody else has done? Oh, I
Mhm.
published a book when I was 8 years old. Like, how cool is that she can take that with her? And, hopefully it adds to that confidence and just knowing that all of those other things that, don't need to hold her back. Like she's going to go places. Thank you so much. They're a lot of fun. There's 7 of them. Woohoo!
Yes. I'm going to throw up you can follow her on Facebook, SJ Child's Books for Children. You can also, here's her email if you have any questions on where to purchase them. There are on Amazon, though.
They
She did
are.
say that.
And on my website too, which actually
Is
doesn't go through it doesn't go through Amazon. Hint hint. Who I get actual payment from instead of 35-cent royalties. I love Amazon. But yeah, I'm excited to maybe see where this goes with
Yeah, so
everything
you can
else.
go over to her website at sjchilds.org and get those books. You can also watch her show on Facebook, SJ Childs Show, or YouTube, SJ Child Show.
Yeah. And on podcast platforms if you want to download any episodes and listen. Yeah, definitely.
Yes, yes. So on that note, I'm going to go ahead and talk about the giveaway.
Yay.
Woo. All right. So, like I said earlier, last week, no one won. What can I say? So, we only had one winner, and that was like a couple weeks ago. So, we've been racking up the prizes. So, we have the face mask that says hola, and it's all colorful. And one of my favorite colors, blue. And you got the makeup bags or just any kind of bag, hair ties, anything like that. Put your Barbie stuff in here. Barbie clothes, Barbie shoes, Barbie purses. And then you got, the necklaces, the mermaid necklaces, and the charm bracelet. Oops. Yeah, this high heel shoe charm bracelet. So I'm going to add to that. So today, I think we're going to add unicorns.
Ooh.
Unicorn necklaces, 2 of them in there, and then 2 pairs of earrings in there as well.
Oh,
So we're going to add
that's so
unicorns
cute.
to it. Who doesn't love unicorns? Everything's better
Right?
with glitter. I'll tell you what. Look, I got my shirt going
I
on
love
here.
that.
It's glittery.
I always joke that I'm kind of like a unicorn, like always outside the group, like prancing about, lots of glitter.
Mhm.
I'm a hot mess,
Yeah. I love unicorns. Rainbows, unicorns, sparkles, all that. So you get all this. All you have to do is follow, like, and share, comment. Oops. Yeah. Hold on. Follow, like, share, comment, and you'll get all this stuff that's in here. So if you're on Facebook, do it on Facebook. If you're on YouTube, do it on YouTube. And if you're listening in, just shoot over to Facebook or YouTube to do it. And you can win all this stuff. So there's a bunch of stuff in here. And I'll mail it to you. So yeah, make sure you like, comment, share, and follow. Subscribe if you're on YouTube.
I subscribed today.
Yes.
Followed
Awesome.
you YouTube. Yeah.
So make sure you guys enter that contest, and thank you for subscribing. I appreciate that.
Mm-hmm.
So I'm gonna go ahead and hit you with another question.
I'm ready.
So, what do you love most about what you do? Everything you do.
I guess because it's such a passion. I think when I started, as far as, well, I'm like trying to formulate this into a sentence. When we found out our son had autism, and we really dove deep into how we could help, I really just started seeing how little information there was out for people, how little services there were, how little foods there were. 7 years ago, I was just entering the gluten dairy free phase that no one knew about at the time, and then it was like this boom afterwards. And now I can get it at the grocery store down the street. But it used to be so hard for me to find stuff like that. I would have to like search specialty stores. And so I think that in really just being passionate about kind of talking to my family about it, expressing that, when in my family per se, I'm the only one that has a child that is neurodiverse. And with that being said, there comes with a lot of confusion and not understanding maybe that I don't follow traditional lifestyles. I don't follow traditional bedtimes and traditional dinner times. Like, my life is completely unique. It is on the spectrum itself, right? It's like so different. Like, we are very we're very open to being flexible, because we see that we need to change our thinking. We don't need to try to change our children to be like us. We need them to evolve to change the world in their ways. Like, we don't want repeat after generation. That's not where growth comes. The growth comes in the uncomfortable space that people don't understand, or people look at you differently, or, like I said earlier, think that you're crazy because you have all these outside perspectives. Well, that's kind of where I'm at on the lamb, basically, is that we don't have the typical social expectations for our kids that I think many traditional families do. And that separates us and isolates us a bit. At the same time, I think that it empowers my children to be human, to be themselves, to be independent. We allow them to do things on their own in the safety of our home, so that when they're 21, they don't have to go try all the things that we wouldn't let them do when they were young. Because I have a stepdaughter that's 21 that I raised, that you said she was 5. And I saw all of those things happen in that relationship. I saw all the stifling and all of the control over, not coloring your hair or something silly like that. And all of the things that, now that she's an adult out in the world, she wants to express herself and do all of these things, that it's fine, but she could have safely done it in the home that she grew up in, and not had to have been forced into some, I don't know, way of living that she wasn't ever interested in being a part of. So I think that that's where we create divides with our teenagers, is in giving them space in a safe place to make bad decisions and bad choices, not being like angry or punishing about it, but being like communicative, you know, like
Mhm.
let's talk about this. Let's talk about why, you know, you want to go drinking with your friends, whatever it might be. Like there's always a why behind something. And instead of jumping to conclusions like you're the parent and you know best and da 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 da, well, give your child respect. Give your child grace. Realize that they're a human being. And if you want them to have the best outlook and the best process in the future, teach them how to communicate by being communicative to them, by letting them communicate to you in a way that sometimes I think old generations, it was just like, shut up and listen. You know, as to now, I almost feel like sometimes I'm on that end of the rope and I'm like, wait, I've gone way too far on the end here.
Yes.
Like I'm being bullied by a 9-year-old. But, you know, it's funny. But yeah, I think that it can go, you know, you have to find that perfect middle ground where you can just be really, you know, as sensitive to everyone's needs around you and hold your boundaries at the same time. So it's like a tightrope.
Yes. Boundaries are a big thing. So
Yeah.
when you're growing and prospering and trying to move on from certain things, like when you have anxiety and certain triggers, it's important to set up boundaries. I think it's important to set up boundaries throughout your entire life. You're constantly going to be setting up new boundaries for different things that you're going through in life.
Yeah.
But it's important to protect your energy and protect you and who you truly are, and to not let you, like I call it, getting broken and
Yeah.
having to repair yourself all
Mhm.
over again. I don't want my kids to go through that. I had to go
Yeah.
through that. I don't want to see them go through
Yeah.
that. It's not fun and it's not easy.
No, isn't that
Like,
the truth?
yeah, that's definitely a big thing. And communication is very key. And my friend that I hung out with, so I still talk to on occasion, but she lives an hour away. So we haven't, with our schedules lately, we haven't been able to see each other. But she unschools her kids. She calls it unschooling because she lets her kids find who they are and go
Yes.
for whatever they want to do.
Yeah.
And I love that idea.
I do too.
I
I
think
love that.
that helps them find who they are, so they're not
Yes.
25, 30 years old trying to find who they are. You
No,
know,
I agree.
um,
Yep.
I think that's really important for them to find who they are young, and for you to
Yeah.
give them space to grow, make those mistakes, learn from those mistakes,
Mhm.
because we all live and we learn, and they're going to learn. Even if they have to make that mistake 2 or 3 times, they're eventually going to get it. It's going to
Yeah.
happen. So,
I
I
love
think
that.
that's a really important thing. I still think that you should be protect them if
Yeah.
they're do something dangerous, but
A
I
hundred.
think that you need to give them, definitely need to give
Yeah.
them space to grow. That
Well,
is amazing.
and I think that giving, you know, another great example just of my own daughter, she's really friendly and she's really pretty. I mean, not to be biased or anything, but she's just a really really pretty kid. And so, you know, she's out in the world and people just say things here and there and stuff. And I have always told her, like, it doesn't matter who it is. You are like allowed to say no. If grandma wants a hug and you don't want to, you can say no. If bubble, you know, just goes down the line. Well, it's come so far in now that she's older and she's out in, you know, the neighborhood and playing and things. We discussed, you know, what if somebody says, hey, little girl, come over here, or hey, I need to talk to you, come over here right now, and tries to be authoritative with her. Well, we've given her the permission to not listen to other adults. I'm not saying she shouldn't listen to the teacher at school. She is a rule follower. She is the teacher's pet. Like, there's not a
Mhm.
problem with that. But, you know, that guy up the street, he does not have the right to talk to you, and you do not need to listen. Like, that is
Right.
your personal power. You have it. You can say no. You can ignore him, come back home and tell me what happened. And it's so important for you to empower them with their own voice, because then
Mhm.
they come, you know, even in just that, she's come to me, you know, and this kid has done this or this, you know, and of course you got to go out and put your mom foot down out in the neighborhood.
I haven't
But
had to do that yet.
oh gosh, I have, and it's too much. She's too young for me to even have to be doing that. But I think that, yeah, it's interesting when we give our kids the power and the independence to be people, then they can be, you know, they don't, like you
Right.
said, they don't have to grow up to be 20, 30 and be like, oh my gosh, I'm still figuring it out. What's happening here? You know, so
So
hopefully,
how,
fingers crossed, right?
I have a question. So how difficult is it on the parents' end? Because my kids are young. My kids are 6 and 3. I
Okay,
don't deal with too
got
much
it.
yet. I mean, I have to deal with the mouth sometimes because they're 3 and them not wanting their hair done and acting
Yeah.
like they're dying when they're getting their hair done, stuff like that. But how is it on the parents' end of allowing them to do that? Like, how hard was it for you? Like,
Yeah,
what
I
kind
think
of
it
growing process
definitely
was it?
definitely took a growing process. It took an idolization of how to take yourself out of the helicopter parent phase and trust that the more independence you give them, the more self growth they can have. Because the more that you stand by them, hold their hands while they're out in those conversations in the world, the more that you hold them away from conflict resolution. That's those are life lessons that we all have to learn. And it's so much better to be able to navigate your child through those types of structures rather than, you know, when they're 15 or 16 having to go find them when they haven't gone to school or something because they can't deal with their problems and they can't talk to you about it. So, you know, I'm hoping that I'm like enforcing a whole different way of living with the third child
Mhm.
so that, you know, the all of the maybe the not even mistakes, but all of the choices that I made as a younger parent, I see a different light and I see how they could be really a lot out of fear of, you know, maybe what others would think, out of the fear of what my own parents would say. She was my stepdaughter, so out of the fear of what her own mother would say. And it's this pressure to provide the perfect life, the perfect look, the perfect everything, when in fact, what she really needed was a space to become her own. She didn't need perfection. She's perfect in her own everything. What she needed was a place to dye her hair green so that, you know, like it's the simplest
Yeah.
thing. What she needed was for somebody to say, oh, like, you can dress however you want. You don't have to dress the way, like, the things that were forced upon her when I look back, you know, to think that a decade ago, like, she had to wear this or something, or she, you know, couldn't hang out with this person because they were the bad influence. Well, come to find out, you know, they're the college graduate with all the, you know, and bless her heart. But they were bad influences. But it's so hard when all you're running is parenting in fear. When you're running with
Mhm.
parenting in fear, that's what you get out of it, is that you get a bunch of chaos and yeah, it doesn't work. So we're trying a new way with our other one to, you know, let her. And I love what you said about unschooling. We kind of think of it as unlearning the things that we were taught, that those strict bedtimes at this time of night. Well, guess what? Has anybody ever had autism, ever dealt with anyone with autism? They know that sleeping is just something that is off the charts, that you can't it's unexplainable. I can't even say a word for it because I call it the moon cycle. My kids can sleep 5 hours at a time. My husband can sleep 5 hours at a time. Anytime, night or day, they're fine. Like me, oh my gosh, I'm so regular. I have to be asleep at a certain time. I have to get so many hours of sleep. But for them, it's not that way. They have this regenerating cycle that is not understood by us because we're neurotypical and they're neurodiverse. And there's not like a bridge that gaps those things. You either support them or you don't understand them. So,
Mhm.
and
Yep.
it's hard, you know. My husband was diagnosed 5 years ago with Asperger's, and the interesting things that we were able to discover through that, it really made a lot of sense for our family. It really kind of like put all the pieces together and wrapped it up into a really nice whole picture. And yeah, and rather than, seeing it as some, I wish they would change the language, some disorder, it's not. It's a way of thinking differently. And that in itself is so beautiful anyways. But it's so lucky for me because I get to see the sensitive sides of autism that people don't get to see when they watch a movie about somebody with autism. I also get to live through the hard parts, the challenging toilet training for 7 years that took for my son to get out of pull-ups, and kind of finally coming to the realization, just like Jennifer said, you got to let them learn on their own. I joked at one point, hey, you have your whole life to go to the toilet. Who cares? Quit trying to get my kid on the toilet. He has his whole dang life to go on the toilet. And yeah, I understand for some schools and things that was an issue. But when you're traumatizing a child to fit into society's behavior standards, that's all you're doing is traumatizing a child. That's it. So yeah, we are go to the toilet when you want. If you want a sandwich, you can have your whole life to eat a sandwich. You don't need to be forced to eat food in our home. Like there's no forcing of foods. And it was a lot through my husband recognizing that some of his kind of food aversions were texture sensitivities, which when you're a mom and you're trying to nourish your kids and get them the best things, sometimes you feel that urge to force or, kind of urge them to do things. And when they don't want to, you could take it personally a little sometimes, or, hey, why don't you want to do this? But instead of having those mindsets, realize you're not in their mouth. You don't know what that food feels like, what that food feels like in their throat, what it feels like in their gut. And if they have a reaction, give them the respect to understand their biology and understand that they have, they can tell you what's going on, unless it's a completely nonverbal child, of course. But otherwise, you can get a sense if a kid likes a food or not. So I think it's just very, it's non-traditional in many ways, but we made it our own.
That's awesome.
Wheelhouse, right? Yeah.
Yeah. I think it's really important to allow children to learn on their own. Excuse me. Just because, if they learn the lesson, they won't have to go through that while they're an adult, and I think that letting your child drink in your home is a great idea. Mm-hmm. You don't need to go out with your friends. You want to try it? We'll put on some music. Here you go. Exactly. I'll drink a glass of wine with you, So
you're not going to like it. It's not a worry.
Right. So yeah, I think I find that to be perfectly fine. And I think the unschooling and the unlearning is the best thing for children. Because I call it, we grew up and it was not functional. It was dysfunctional.
100%.
So it was for some of us, some people grew up in, great homes, but some people and it's not our parents' fault because that's what they were taught. And that's what the generation was taught before that. And what we're doing right now is we're breaking those generations of hurt and trauma, and we're healing ourselves, and we're building this better world for our children and our children's children and their children. And I just find it to be such a blessing to meet you and all you do. You're so amazing. And your stepdaughter is
teenage stage where she didn't want to talk to me for a little while, and it hurt. It broke my heart. At the same time, she came around. She's 21 now, and she comes and just, she calls me mom. She just, we have a very close relationship. And I would change things for her to make them easier on her, but I wouldn't change what I've learned from all of that and how I can move forward and help, in the future. So, yeah.
That's so amazing. Well, I want to take this time to thank you so much
Oh,
for
thank
coming
you.
on the show today and
It's been a
talking
pleasure.
with us and teaching us so much. I know I've learned some things today, and I look forward to being able to put some of these things this knowledge that you've given me today into my children
Oh,
and
wonderful.
as they grow. So I want to thank you for that because this is priceless right here.
Thank
So
you. Thank
I
you.
appreciate it so
Yay, I'm
much.
so glad to hear that. I mean, that's all that I want is to know
Mhm.
that what I'm doing and my work is bringing value to the community. Like, I literally have not gone into it with any kind of idea of how rich it's going to make me or what kind of,
Mhm.
reputation I might have. What I want to do is give hope to families that have kids with special needs, that there are services, there are groups that you can join. Like you said, I have the Autism Advocates Support Group that anyone is welcome to join and get support through that. It's amazing. The people in there are so supportive of one another. No one is ever judgmental of people's when they need to vent, or everyone is just loving and supportive. So yeah, it's a really, really great kind of life mission, I guess you could say.
Mhm. So, how can they, if they want to join that support group, can they go find it on your website?
That's a good point. I don't think I have it on the website. I will put it up on the website for sure. Yeah, it's
Okay,
on Facebook, Autism Advocates Support Group.
I'm gonna
I know,
put.
I love that you can
Um,
do that. And it makes it so
you,
nice to be
you
able
said
to do that. Autism Advocates Support Group. And like I said, right now, to all of our families, we have free vehicle safety kits that we've put together that we're giving to our families. There's just a form in there that you go and fill out and get your address on there to get one. And then, in the unfortunate case that you were ever, pulled over or anything happened, an accident, then your family is just one step closer in getting some better support and better services, because they can only help when they have the information to do so.
that's amazing, and
Yeah,
make
thanks.
sure you guys check out those books. Those books are amazing. I know I have a lot. I have a few friends out there who have kids with autism, and I definitely think you should check these books out. Even if you have a child with anxiety, if you have a child who gets stomach aches and you don't know what causes those stomach aches, that's a part of anxiety. Get them the help they need and the
Yeah,
support that they need. Be their support, and be there for them, help them to grow because you can heal from it and you can be able to operate functionally while dealing with it. And
yeah,
it is possible. I can prove that right here.
yeah.
Sara Bradford can prove it.
Oh, thank
So
you.
um, you can absolutely do it. So
Yeah,
don't give up. Keep trying. Again, get the support that you need. Is a support system is the main thing.
yeah,
It takes that support.
yeah.
It takes
And
finding
it's a
your.
team. It's like there's not a one-stop shop for it. Absolutely. I always tell families, like, you need the child support. That's always great. But guess what? Parents need support too. And they need a company when they're finding services for their child that'll turn around and say, this is what you can do next too. And that's something really great to keep in mind for families that are looking for support, is to make sure that those companies support your needs as a parent.
Yeah. And Jennifer said she knows a few. So, Jen, if you want to shoot on over to her website, I'll throw it back up for you and you can shoot on over there and you could even gift it to them. So,
Yeah,
or you can send it to their parents, but definitely get that information over to them because
yeah.
I think it's.
Donate to schools. Yeah, they're a great place to be. If anyone knows anyone that works in the school system and they could,
Mhm.
refer them to look at the books to see if they'd be interested. I mean, what a valuable place for them to be in those elementary school classes.
Absolutely.
Hmm.
And what's funny is that when I was in school, I didn't get taught yoga. We're going to go over a few minutes, but I didn't get taught yoga. I didn't get taught
Yeah.
meditation. But, while the kids were home from school through COVID, my daughter was getting taught meditation and taught yoga through her gym class and her art class.
Wow.
How fantastic would it
Yeah.
have been if they were doing that when I was a child? Because that's
Yeah.
all the stuff that I just got introduced to that has helped me so much.
Yeah.
Like, imagine if I would have had that knowledge when I was young.
Exactly.
There's no telling.
I hope it helps change the world.
It absolutely is. This is the steps that we need.
Yeah.
And people like you, and people like me who help get the word out there. I mean, it's all about us coming together and working as a team to make this change.
Yeah.
I'm excited about it too, because it's going to be amazing. So our kids
are. Thank you.
Yes.
Please reach out if you have parent questions and you like, oh my gosh, maybe Sara has some kind of advice for this. I'm always available. So
I absolutely will.
Feel free. Yeah.
So I'm definitely going to take you up on that.
Yeah, for sure. Definitely.
So I do want to thank everyone for tuning in. Thank you so much, Sara, for coming on. This was amazing. I had such an amazing time with you today. And you guys, don't forget that follow, subscribe, share, and you can win all these prizes in here. And I will mail them to you. But yeah, so thanks again. And we'll see you guys next time.
Bye.